Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, and thank you for coming today to cover an event which we believe to be of significant public interest. My name is John Stemberger, and I'm an attorney in Orlando, and I also serve as President and General Counsel of the Florida Family Policy Council. I'm here with my partner, Nathan Dunn, who is the Vice President of Public Policy, who is here in Tallahassee full-time as our governmental relations consultant. Since the passage of Amendment 2, the Florida Marriage Protection Amendment, we've asked ourselves, what do we need to do next as a movement? And we have a unique resource, we believe, in a robust relationships with thousands and thousands of churches, Catholics and Protestants, Baptists and Charismatics, non-denominational and denominational leaders, Latino churches, Black American churches. And so we've asked ourselves, what can we do to further the cause of children and families in the state of Florida? Since the 1960s, there has been a war against tradition and a war against marriage. It is viewed, and marriage is in trouble for a lot of reasons, but one of those reasons is because of this hostility that was unleashed in the 1960s counterculture, which portrayed marriage as something which was oppressive, patriarchal, outmoded, and even destructive to children. And nothing could be further from the truth. And the unfortunate thing is those attitudes still today live on in many of the cultural elites in universities and in Hollywood and in the media. One of America's most beloved presidents, Ronald Reagan, did something which he later regretted. As then governor of California in 1969, he would enact the very first no-fault divorce law into existence. And that concept would spread throughout the country like wildfire. And within a decade, every state in the Union, except for New York, accepted no-fault principles. And the report now that we know this many years later is this. No-fault divorce has been a sociological disaster. It is responsible for more impoverished single mothers, more irresponsible dads taking off whenever they want, more broken families and destroyed children's lives. And as a result, the divorce rate in the United States of America is the highest rate in the country, in the world. There is no other nation that has a higher divorce rate today. And you can get out of a marriage easier than you can get out of a credit card. Something's not right with that. When marriage is the primary socializing institution, it's the primary organization whereby we have social order in a culture at a very basic level. Is this the best we have to offer for children and for families and for the common good? We would say it's not. We'd say that Florida deserves better and the country deserves better. Florida has the highest recorded number of divorces in the country, period. No other state has more recorded divorces than Florida. 86,000 divorces a year occur in Florida. We have more than New York, and yet New York has more than 3 million people than we do. And more than Texas, and Texas has 5.5 million more people than we do. Beyond that, family fragmentation resulting from divorce and unwed childbearing has enormous social costs. Human costs and financial costs. There are social costs involved with children and the effects upon them, business costs, lowered productivity, lowered profits, and a staggering burden upon taxpayers and revenues in the state. We have a chart I'd like to show you. Rashid, if you would get that for me. In April of 2008, the very first ever study was done by the Institute for Marriage and Public Policy and the American Values Institute, as well as the Georgia Family Policy Council, which is actually our sister organization in Georgia. And for the first time, the taxpayer's burden to family fragmentation was actually documented by researchers, and we've provided a full copy of this study in your press packets today. Half the document is just showing why the assumptions are correct and the analysis is correct. The first half is the actual conclusions. But as you can see, here in Florida alone, annually, almost $2 billion are spent as a result of fragmented families and unstable marriages. It's an enormous cost. According to Ben Scafidi, who did the primary research, in Florida, if such a program succeeded in increasing stably married families by just 1%, the state could save taxpayers $19.5 million a year. 5% could save the state of Florida nearly $100 million a year if families were stabilized by merely 5%. The solution we believe, is a bold idea and a campaign which we're launching today called Strong Marriages Florida. The goal of the campaign, if you turn that around, the goal of the campaign is basically fivefold. First, we want to increase the number of couples that receive premarital preparation, premarital education. Number two, we want to see existing marriages strengthened and to restore crisis marriages. Number three, we'd like to reduce the divorce rate in Florida by 10%. That's a very bold goal, and one that is may or may not be in reach, but it's one we want to try for. Number four, we'd like to save the taxpayers of Florida the cost of family fragmentation by well over $100 million annually by seeing a 5% increase in stable families. And then finally, we would like to create widespread community awareness and a positive culture of marriage which celebrates and respects the institution of marriage for the benefit of children, families, and for the common good of society.